Okay, this is Hideousy doing a replay analysis. We are looking at Nasus top into Poppy. This is gold 1. So you probably know this, but staying around the base this early on is kind of a waste. It's not in solo queue. It can go either way as to how big of a deal it is, but in general, you don't want to spend any more time in the fountain than you absolutely have to. It's especially true when you recall, but also true in the beginning of the game. You want to be on the map so that you have the ability to be impactful if you need to be. As top, it's not quite as critical because usually you just go up and set up position in top lane anyway, but just a habit to get into. Okay, so you got a Rek'Sai jungler on the other team, so you know that he is going to be looking to gank fairly early, has pretty good clear time, and the ability to really get in there and mess with you. Poppy, contrary to all popular belief, is actually a monster to deal with. Unless you have a lot of bullying ability, she will go crazy. So this is just, this is a little thing here, so I'm not sure if you're just not aware of how strong Poppy can be, or if this is kind of in general a laning thing that you do. But it is not, even for Nasus, it is not worth it to trade this much HP for CS at all. Just let her push the lane. Let her push it to here and farm here. This is so much better for you. You know, take what you can. Stay in XP range at least, but just give her some CS rather than this, because now, I mean, you know, you got the CS, great, but now you're at a third health. She's probably going to do even more damage to you. I don't know, she backed off. But you're getting into a position where now she's got you so low that you had to burn flash, which is a big deal. She burned hers too, thankfully. But now you're so low that you can't CS. Even here it's going to be risky, because now she's in a position where she can, if she gets a push against the wall, she might be able to kill you. And there she's flashing her mastery, so as cocky as that is, it should give you a bit of pause. But it is never worth trading that much HP for CS. Even as Nasus, who is so critical on. Just let her push the lane. Get it to this position where you can back off to your turret. What a smart laner is looking to do is to punish you every time you try to CS. And so if you make that really easy... Oh, don't give this up. No, 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 no. Okay, so this is another thing. This is just decision making. So Poppy's passive is absolutely insane. All physical and magic damage dealt to Poppy that exceeds 10% of her current health is reduced by 50%. That is absolutely mind-bogglingly nuts. Okay, so you see Annie roaming up. This is a really early roam. So I guess that's... I didn't see her coming up at first, so I guess that's why you went aggressive. Yeah. I mean, honestly, you forced her out of lane here. But you gave up, you actually lost that trade, because you actually gave up quite a bit of, you know, you gave up several CS to the turret. And in the time that you're gone, you know, you're both losing CS now, and so it's kind of even. So overall, she's coming out ahead of this at this point. Yeah. Yikes. That sucks. Okay, so basically... in this kind of situation, you just gotta judge this. So you see Annie coming up, and that's good. I mean, the roam is fine. But you gotta know when to call and when to cut your losses, kinda. So at this point, you've got a wave pushing into the turret. And Poppy is fast. She has the ability to, she has a gap closure she can use on minions, which is what she does to escape here. She has a speed boost. She is extremely hard to kill because whatever her current health is, if you do more than 10% of her current health, so as she gets lower, her passive kicks in more often, the damage is reduced in half, which again is just absolutely mind-bogglingly nuts, which is why Poppy is getting reworked. So every time you hit her, especially with your Q, if it does more than 10% of her health, the damage that exceeds 10% of her health is cut in half. So she is very hard to kill and hard to catch. Even if you can catch her, then she's hard to kill. And so Annie roams up here. You get the CS. You go really early, and you give up this cannon minion to trade, which again is not really worth it. Never give up CS to trade. If you're under turret, focus on the minions. You don't gain anything really here by doing that. So you give up this, and you go on her, you're giving up this. Even if you want to go in with Annie, you should have waited until to start that whole thing until Annie was like right here. Then wither Poppy right here. Because by the time Annie is in position to start doing anything, Poppy's already started running. And she's able to, she's able to get away, and it ends up creating this massive situation where you guys get triple killed in your jungle. But you gave originally you gave up 3 or 4 CS here to the turret because you were trying to trade with her. You're not going to kill her, so why are you giving up CS to trade with her? You're not going to kill her. You're not really in a position to force her out of lane. You don't even really want to do that as Nasus. It's not really a priority. You just want CS early on. So it's really not worth trying to force that fight. As Nasus, you do not need to get kills to win the lane. You really don't. Kills are gravy. They're icing on the cake. If you get them, that's awesome, but you don't need them. You need to focus on CS and sticking around in lane and getting those sweet, sweet stacks. So, and against someone like Poppy, who you are honestly very unlikely to be able to kill unless she really screws up, just don't ever fall for the bait. Don't ever get baited into trying to fight with her when you could be outsmarting her by just focusing on getting the CS that you want. So in this situation, yeah, just freeze it right here. Thin the herd a little bit. Get this down to just a 3 or 4 minion advantage. Use your E. Is it E? Yeah, Spirit Fire. Tank it. Yeah, this is fine. You want to maintain about a 2 or 3 minion advantage for their team at all times. So leave these guys up. Maybe kill one. Don't trade with Poppy. You will never win the trade. Just CS. Okay, again, you can be positioned, because if she attacks you here, then you can trade with her, because she's going to get turret hit. So if she attacks you under the turret, then wither her and hit her a couple of times. You don't need to give her that much respect when you're, when the turret's hitting your CS. Go ahead and CS under turret, and then respond. Once she gets you out to here, then she can really hurt you. But here, she can't do much yet. When she hits 6, she can look to turret dive. But until then, not so much. I gotta change my scene. Sorry, I got to overlay over all the information. There, I fixed it. Be careful about positioning between her and walls every time. So a lot of what this looks like to me is you don't know this matchup very well. And that's not, with someone like Poppy, you don't run into it very often, so that's pretty understandable. But this is the kind of thing where you gotta, while you're loading into the game, look up Poppy, know what her cooldowns are, run through the scenarios in your head. Because yeah, if you are putting yourself between, because she's going to win now. That was purely a positioning thing. So look at this. Okay, if you want to go aggressive on Poppy, go aggressive right now. Hit her with Wither right now. Is your Wither up? Why didn't you Wither her? Oh, see, why would you wither her outside of turret range? Maybe it was on cooldown. I'm going to go back a little bit. Okay, she's pushing it in. So in a lane like this, again, as Nasus, as a tank, you're not a carry in the first place, so you don't need to force kills, and Poppy isn't someone that you can get kills on regardless of who you are very easily, and so she's someone that you want to focus on CS and punish mistakes. So you are not really looking to force plays or make plays. You are looking to punish mistakes. So as soon as Poppy makes a positioning error or overextends or dives or something, you're going to punish her for that. So you're waiting for that to happen, and until she messes up, you're just going to do your thing in CS. So here she is. And she goes in. That's a mistake. Wither her immediately, because then she takes 2 turret hits, or 3. She actually still takes 2. She takes an extra turret hit. So wither her when she makes that mistake. Bam. I don't think it was on cooldown. If it was, then so be it. So now you wither her, but now you're forcing a play. This is you forcing a play. The mistake is over. She has a level advantage on you, and she's heading for the brush. So you're about to lose vision. She has a level advantage. She can ult you and do extra damage to you. And you don't have any more advantages. Wither's going to wear off by the time you catch up to her, and you're losing CS this whole time. Poppy can do more damage to you. It's going to take you forever to kill her. She has a vision advantage and a level advantage. You had an opportunity to punish a mistake, and you did a little bit, but not enough. And once she recovered from her mistake, then you tried to force the play, and it ends up killing you. So what happens is, okay, so you lose vision of her because she heads for the brush, which is pretty smart. She gets an auto, you enter the brush. Your ward is not on cooldown, so you can throw your ward into the brush and avoid 2 of those auto attacks. Because now that you walk into the brush, boom, she's going to walk right out. She throws her ward in. That's pretty smart. And now you're between Poppy and a wall, which is never a place you want to be because Poppy loves that. She's going to hit you on the wall, it's going to stun you, and then she's going to kill you. Plus, you're taking a bunch of minion aggro this whole time. So, a couple of mistakes. I'm just going to recap real quick. You are looking to punish mistakes, not force plays. Poppy comes in, she overextends, she comes in and hits you. That's a mistake. You can punish it, wither her, hit her once, make her take 3 turret shots instead of 2. Now she's low. Don't force the play, don't chase, just do that, just punish it. Lee is coming up, you know Lee's coming up, so as soon as you punish that mistake, then Poppy's probably going to stick around, or you force her out of lane and you can farm for free for a while. No matter what, if you don't chase and force the play, you win that trade big time. So that's a mistake there. You didn't punish the mistake. You didn't punish her mistake enough. Then second mistake, you tried to force a play on Poppy, who is stronger than you in every single way right now. She has more levels, she has more items, she has more ability to kill you inherently because of how her kit works. She's just better in this kind of situation. So as soon as you leave your turret range, she has the advantage. So you try to force a play, you hit Wither, now she runs toward the brush, and she has a vision advantage. So not only does she have all those other advantages, but she has a vision advantage. You don't throw your ward in the brush, and so you face check the brush, which means as you're walking in, she has the ability to see you and set up what she's going to do, and you don't know where exactly she is, and you can't auto-attack her. So she gets 2 auto-attacks as you walk past, she positions out, and she puts you between her and a wall. As you are walking up to the brush, if you are going to face-check this in a scenario where maybe you think you can actually get the kill with maybe she's like really close to being dead or something, if you're walking up to this brush, put your ward in it. If you don't have a ward, just leave. It's never going to be worth it. It will never work out in your favor because all she has to do is just stand right on the edge, and as soon as you enter, she takes 1 quick step out and bam, you're dead. Put your ward in it, and then maybe you can do something here. But in this situation, even then you wouldn't be able to really do anything. Shield's going to survive. I mean, like, worst case scenario for her, she runs, and you chase her for a little bit, and you end up losing even more CS. So there's no scenario in which you win this. So sit tight, be patient, bide your time, and punish mistakes, not try to force plays. So Lee's able to come up and pick up the kill, so that's solid. He is pushing the lane, which kind of sucks for you. This is brutal, actually, for you. Why would he... Oh my gosh. Okay, so do not rage at Lee, but kindly, like, just explain to him how devastating that is. Because this was a situation... Let's see, was it pushing or was it frozen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it was going to push anyway, so I guess it's not quite as devastating. Well, it was close. It would have pushed, but it would have been very slow. So he fast pushes it for you, which really kind of sucks. Poppy. Okay, a couple of things. If Lee doesn't last hit all those minions, the wave is still sitting here by the time you get back to base, get back from Fountain. Even if you choose not to teleport, which I'll talk about in a second. If you walk back up, the wave is still going to be right about here because this minion wave, the reinforcement wave from the other side will end up being here, and the wave will still be sitting here. Your waves will still be slow pushing a little bit toward Poppy, but at least you have the chance to get some CS before it finishes slow pushing. Since he hard pushed it, now you have a large minion advantage, and they're going to push in. So you now are going to miss a lot of the CS. You choose to teleport, which I can understand why you would teleport in this situation because the lead pushed it, and so now you're going to miss a bunch of this CS, and you want to get there before Poppy can get there, and you don't want to be in this part of the lane when Poppy is back. So I guess I can kind of understand that a little bit. And it's early enough in the game that it's not a super critical thing. It'll be back up by 12 minutes or 11 minutes 30 seconds, which is usually when Dragon is going down. So this is not as bad as it could be. But in general, as a rule of thumb, if you can ever walk to lane, or let me put this another way, never burn teleport to get back to lane unless you absolutely have to. If you're going to miss more than 1 or 2 CS, then sure, teleport to lane. Like if you're going to miss them to the turret, then yeah, okay, teleport to lane. Otherwise, hold on to that thing. Teleport is such a powerful summoner spell. It is massively powerful. You have the ability to counteract, to teleport here and gank this lane as soon as your bot lane gets back. You have the ability to get to dragon fight, because that's going to be starting to be contested here pretty quick. Teleport is such an advantage to have. Teleporting to get back to lane is wasting it unless you are actively losing CS. In this situation, I can kind of understand it because as soon as Poppy shows up, you have to be pretty careful and start thinking about giving her respect, and it's going to be harder to CS. So it's kind of iffy, but it's unfortunate that you had to burn teleport there. But in general, yeah, using it to get back to lane should always be like a last resort. Okay. So I'm assuming you were trying to roam there to get behind Ari. But I don't think... I guess Lee was there. But yeah, so Rek'Sai showed up and ruined that plan. But now you're too low to go back to lane, you have to go back to base. Because Poppy can dive you now. I'm betting she dives you and kills you in a few seconds. Am I right? Am I the prophet? Yep. Okay. So once that roam didn't, so this is another thing. Like if you still had teleport, once that roam doesn't work out, you can recall and teleport back to lane. You ended up being so low after that, you should have recalled because you got to be thinking about Poppy's power level. Yeah, you don't want to lose this CS. That sucks to lose CS, and she's pushing the turret. And if you feel like you got to get back there, because that's what's happening. But but look what happened. You got to be thinking, a couple more steps down the road than just I need to get back to lane to protect my turret and to get CS. You got to be thinking, am I really able to survive in lane if I go back there? Once I get back to lane, what's going to happen? Don't just tunnel on the fact that Poppy is pushing the turret and you need to be there. Think that through. Do you have your ult? Do you have the ability to get away from Poppy if she decides to dive you? Because yeah, as soon as she has her ult, she can hit at you with it and the turret will not damage her until you die. She can take damage from. She won't take damage from any other source as long as her ult is on you. Prioritize the cannon minions for your Q. If you know a cannon minion is getting low, then skip last hitting another minion with it. Prioritize that cannon minion for your Q because it gives you more stacks. It's not a massive deal, but it's a little thing that'll add up over time. Don't stick around to try to auto-attack her. Just don't. Hit her with Wither and back off. Because look. So... careful. You're walking this way and you got to be thinking, as soon as I get to this point, she's going to dive me. Because every time you go between Poppy and a wall, if she feels like she's ahead, and she is absolutely ahead right now, she will hit you. And she does. Luckily, you know, she misses. She dives a little too soon. But you don't stick around to try to hit her. What do you... I mean, what's... Yeah, you do a little bit of damage to her, but because you stop to auto-attack, it gives her time to do so much more damage to you. Hit her with Wither and back off. I mean, the second she does this, she's already won the trade. There's no way for you to win the trade. You need to minimize the damage she can do to you. By staying and trying to hit an auto-attack on her, you actually lose the trade even harder. Good. That's the right decision. Just ult and back off. Don't do it. If you have your ward, you can maybe throw it down. You do. Okay. So, I mean, you might have thrown your ward in there to check if she was still there. Both because, you know, if she's still there, she still potentially has the power to kill you. Like, it's nuts how much Poppy can pull stuff like that off. She's like Riven or Vayne or something. The second you... I mean, even if you think you've got her dead, she might still jump out. So it's worth throwing your ward in there, or at least checking the Spirit Fire in the brush there. Or throwing it in there to, you know, to interrupt her recall or to force her out of the brush or whatever. Okay, so I think you see, yeah, you see her down here, so you know she's there, so you're pushing, that's fine. Your teleport is up, but because your ult is down, you're going to be of limited use, and your team wasn't in position anyway, so you're making the most of that, what happened there, and pushing this turret, that's fine. Use your Spirit Fire to farm while you're doing this. You could have gotten both of those CS with your Spirit Fire, I think. Yep, and just keep going as long as they let you do it. Nothing is... Okay, so now this is where you should teleport in, right here. Because this is a chance for you to make a much bigger impact than just getting a few more stacks. Other than the fact that you're out of mana, I guess. So that's unfortunate, so maybe you... maybe not. Let me look at this one more time. Okay, so as this turret goes down, look at the situation here. What's developing right now? These guys are pushing this lane. They're going to get this turret likely. You see Ashe heading there, and Poppy is down here, or whatever. So you can stay here and you can get stacks, or you can look to teleport bot and save the turret and get stacks. Don't get trapped in the mindset of I'm Nasus, I stay top all game. Poppy is already roaming on the map and making plays. You need to look for opportunities to at least impact the map a little bit as much as you can. Because if you get down here and you can save this turret, and get, you know, you can get these stacks down here. You'll get just as many stacks here as you would by staying up here. And they're not able to get this turret, and they're not able to kill Ashe. You can't get caught in the mindset as Nasus that you're just going to be AFK top lane until late game. It's not going to work out for you. I mean, yes, you do want to be focusing on farming and stacking for the first big chunk of the game. But that doesn't give you a free pass to just let the enemy team walk all over your teammates. You know, in that situation, you could have accomplished your goal of getting stacks while saving a turret and Ashe. Is the kind of thing I'm talking about. So, now you use it here, like, I mean, what's going to happen here? You can see how fast we're taking this turret down. Lee just got obliterated under the turret. It's Poppy and Rek'Sai, who are both very tanky. So there's a chance that they can burn this down before your teleport even gets there, which would be really unfortunate, because then your teleport is cancelled and it goes on cooldown without being able to use it at all. But even when you arrive here, what's going to happen? It's 3v1 and the turret is almost dead. I mean, even if you're able to get one auto attack off before they stop focusing the turret, all of a sudden the turret is going to be gone, and there's 3 people here just waiting to CC and murder you, and your team is so far away they're not going to be able to get there nearly in time. So yeah, what's going to happen here? Well, CC, turret goes down. CC, dead before your team even has a chance to get there. Poppy ults. It's her massive, broken, get out of jail free card. Okay, so she stuck around too long getting killed anyway. So it went 1 for 1. You got Poppy for Nasus, but Lee died too, and I got the turret. So, you know, just walk down with your team. You're not going to be able to save this turret. A pattern I'm noticing here is that it seems like you're not thinking more than like 1 step ahead. It seems like you're seeing a lane, you know, you're seeing a tower get pressured, so you're thinking, I need to be there because I need to protect the turret. Which ironically you didn't do for this one. I'm guessing you just didn't see it. So that's just something to be more aware of what's going on, because in this situation you really could have protected the turret. But you're seeing the lane's getting pressured, I need to be there, and you're not thinking through what happens after I get there. What's going to happen next? And, you know, in that situation, you think, I need to be there. And yeah, somebody ought to be there, but what's going to happen next? You're going to get there, and then what? Alistair's not even close. You're not going to be able to survive 3 of them. And so it's a losing trade. Or it's you end up wasting teleport and giving a free kill, and not saving the turret either. And in some of the trades here, it's like, you know, yeah, you got an auto attack on Poppy, but what did it cost you? Well, it cost you a ton. It cost you a lot of health. In a couple of cases, it cost you a death. You got to be constantly evaluating what the risk-reward, the cost-benefit, or the expected value of your actions, especially when you're spending high cooldown, high-value abilities like teleport. What is the expected value of that action? And to accurately estimate the expected value, you need to be thinking ahead another step, not just to immediately, I need to be there. What is step 2? Do I have a plan to survive once I get there? So just keeping that bigger picture in mind. So right now you are at 177 stacks, which is not great. And again, I'm not sure why you're trying to trade with Poppy here. Like, she's beat you every single time. If you see Poppy, just run. Like, do not chase here. What's gonna happen here, dude? What's gonna happen? There's no scenario in which you win this. She's so far ahead, she has the items that murder Nasus. You gotta resist the urge to just force these fights. If you're frustrated or on tilt or whatever because you're frustrated about how lane phase went, that's when especially you need to just kind of sit back in your chair, take a deep breath, and be thinking about the long con, or the long term. You do not need to try to force a play on Poppy for this game to work out in your favor. Because right now you're looking at the scenario, so you're looking at your team and how this is going down right now. So you look at the enemy team, they have Ari is doing very well on their team. The rest of their team is doing just okay. Poppy is strong because she has a crazy mid-game spike, so her score doesn't really tell the whole story. So she is strong. Ari is doing very well. Then you look over at your team. You've got Lee who's doing well. Ash is doing well. Better than Graves. And Annie is doing fine, which is good because Ari is also doing well. So that's unusual that Annie would also be doing well. So your team is okay. You know, you're down 1 kill. You're not down a turret. Oh, you're down 1 turret. So you're down a kill, you're down 1 turret. So you are behind, but not by much. I know you don't have access to what the gold levels are while you're in game, but you can kind of estimate it just by looking at that stuff. You're only down 2,000 gold. It's not that big of a deal, and you have a late game team, or you're a late game champion. So your primary goal right now is not to try to force a kill on Poppy or anybody. You don't need to do that. You don't need to force a kill on Poppy. You need to not give up kills to anybody while you are still trying to get to your in-game fantasy state. If you can get through this mid-game without giving up any more kills than you absolutely have to, even if you're not very effective on the offensive side, that's okay. You're building towards your in-game. You want to be effective when you have an opportunity to, but you do not need to force it. Forcing it plays right into their hands. You're behind, and so forcing it is unlikely to work anyway, and you just don't need to. You don't need to take a risky play. The benefit does not match the cost. You're a late game champion. Your focus needs to be on getting to that late game while giving up as little as possible. So that means ignoring fights that aren't just like 100% in your favor. And since you're behind, that's not going to happen very much. As far as 1v1s go, I mean. Going to speed it up a little bit here. Okay, so you see them pushing top lane. You should have already been up there because you've been able to see them pushing this for a long time. And then instead you're kind of goofing around in the jungle and you get caught up by Poppy. Annie backs you up. You lose the turret though. Poppy is down. Now you have a numbers advantage, but you're really low. Your team is actually doing very well here, though. Oh, dang. That was a nice flash. Bummer, never follow. Never do this. Never, ever, ever do that. Resist the urge to take the magical journey after an enemy bard. I know that wasn't you, but just in general. Especially unless you're like massively tanky and have a plan for it specifically. So again, this is just kind of an example of not really thinking ahead very far. You saw Graves and Bard pushing it here. That's your cue to get top lane. Get there. Like have somebody else meet you there too. Ping the turret and walk up there. Instead, you wait until they're like here before you start moving toward top, and by that time, even if you're able to walk straight to top without any interference, you're going to be too late to save the turret. And because you tooled around so long, Poppy had a chance to get in the jungle and mess you up. Your ward coverage is pretty good here, so I'm not sure how it is you didn't see her. Maybe the wards weren't up at the time. Some of these are pretty fresh. So anyway, but yeah, you're not thinking super far ahead there. You're thinking that they're here, they're not next to the turret, I don't need to worry about it, but you're not thinking 30 seconds ahead at how fast they're pushing and where they're going to be in a few seconds. Turn and fight way sooner. Way sooner. You probably could have killed Rek'Sai. Like, I'm just gonna watch this again here real quick. Okay, so Rek'Sai got the dragon. And now it's you and our Lee versus the world. Your team is coming, but Annie is dead already. Okay, so this is a losing fight. So right now, you got CC'd, you're toast. Basically, no matter what happens, you're toast. You can't run from all this. Rek'Sai has CC, Bard has CC, Ahri has CC. Maybe you could run toward Alistar, maybe if he pulls off a crazy 3-man knockup or something, maybe. But probably you're dead, so just fight. Like, recognize this sooner, that you are not getting out of this alive. So turn and fight. If you turn and fight, like, you turn and fight finally now. Ari did hit you with charm, so that might be part of why you didn't turn sooner. So if that's the case, then just listen to the principle and ignore this exact scenario. But turn and fight. If you get more than one Q onto Rek'Sai, you might be able to kill him there. Maybe not, but maybe. It's worth a try anyway. Okay, I'm gonna speed up a little bit. So another kind of, not exactly minor thing actually, but a second ago when I said you had really good ward coverage up here, I wasn't really looking at what the map looked like. So when you did have really good ward coverage on this quadrant of the map, but that's not really where you wanted the ward coverage. You wanted the ward coverage on this section of the map right here, because Dragon was coming up very soon. So you guys all spent your wards up here, when what you really wanted to do was spend your wards down here so that you had vision control of the Dragon area when you wanted to be fighting for it soon. About 60 seconds before Dragon spawns is when you want to be establishing vision control of that area, as much as possible. Since their team has more momentum, they're a little bit ahead, you want to err on the side of warding in this area, as opposed to warding up aggressively in their jungle. If you are ahead, then you ward aggressively. If you're behind, you ward defensively. So for Dragon, you ward here, and you ward here, and you ward here, and maybe like over the wall, so that you have a knowledge of what it is that they're doing and where they're positioned. Instead of spending all those wards up here, get them down where the objective is going to be contested in the next 60 seconds or so. So in general, you're just waiting a really long time before you choose to go aggressive. Like, why would you not go aggressive now? Like, the situation is almost exactly the same. Graves has this amount of health, but you're almost full health. Why would you not go aggressive now? Hit him with Wither and go for it. I mean, I see that you want the stacks, but you spend so much time like trying to get these minions that Graves is able to get you down to almost no health. You do have a lot of armor. He whiffs his ult, but now you're too low to really go for him. By the time you catch up to him, he probably has killed you. And so now you're super low, so what are you gonna do? I mean, like, he can, I mean, you have your ult, I realize, but so now, I mean, now you choose to go aggressive, which is just really weird. I see that he was under the turret, but all he has to do is dash out. He takes one turret hit and he's fine, and you kind of blew your ult for it. So, I mean, either go aggressive sooner when you actually are in position to fight him, or just back off. I mean, sit under turret. Don't give him a bunch of free auto attacks on you. Speeding up a little bit. Stacking, 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 that's good. You are up to 250 stacks, okay. Approaching your in-game fantasy bit by bit. Okay, but now you're seeing this develop here, so you're watching this closely because you have teleport. You probably should have started recalling sooner because you could see them starting to, you saw team fight brewing here, and so you're out of mana, so you got to look at that. You got to realize you're low on mana, and so if a team fight is brewing here, you want to be able to join it. And so, you know, by the time you do recall, things have already kind of developed. Fortunately, they overextend, and you guys kind of go even. You might actually be able to... Yeah, so now you can follow Bard. But you're out of mana. You weren't able to stay in base long enough to get mana, so I'm assuming they get away here. Unless Ashe pulls off some kind of crazy miracle. Okay, Rek'Sai should have just kept running, but... Okay, so you managed to pull a 4v3, or 4 for 3 out of that. If you had been thinking ahead, again, a little bit more, you probably could have been there sooner. teleported in with mana from base, potentially, and impacted that fight a lot more. Okay. Okay, so you got dragon, that's good. Now you're looking top lane. Again, what are you gonna do, dude? Ah, you gotta be thinking further ahead. That's the one takeaway I want you to get from this, is to try to be thinking more than one step ahead. What's gonna happen in the next 3 seconds, or the next 10 seconds? You want to be trying to think about 3 seconds ahead in lane, in a kind of a, or what, you know, what's happening right in front of you in a team fight or in a lane or whatever. What's going to happen in the next 3 seconds? What abilities are going to come up? What is my opponent likely to do in this situation? You know, is she going to hit a power spike? Is she going to go aggressive? Is she going to, you know, you're trying to predict what's going to happen. On a map-wide scale, you want to try to predict what's happening about 30 seconds into the future. So you're looking at waves, where are they going to end up? So you see this big wave here pushing. So this is a good, would be a good thing to push or to rotate down to next. You see that this is going to be slow pushing, so you don't really need to do anything to it. You just want to let it build, because by the time it gets to here, it will be gigantic. So in this situation, like, you know, you leave one person mid to pressure this turret and then spam ping this, because you've got a big wave here. You send one person down here and they can get this turret. Or send 3 people down while you stay mid or something, you know, so you're pressuring one objective while telling your team to go get the other one. Or if your team won't go get it, you go pressure it while your team stays here, you know. But look at the map and figure out what's going to happen next. You don't need to touch this. It's going to stack up on its own. I mean, I know you want stacks, so you want to be farming, obviously, but the enemy team's kind of in position to do a fight, so... or to be aggressive. Okay, this is good. This is good. Murder her. Good. Okay, now you can go... oh, yikes. Already is doing the work, dude. Nice arrow. Okay, she's gone. Turn on somebody else. Go for... okay. Okay, yeah, you guys kind of need to back off now. Oh, that was a sick Bard ult. Oh my gosh. Okay, you're getting pretty big now, though. I mean, you are pretty big now, though. Okay, you're just focusing on wave clear and punishing mistakes. You're low on mana. Yeah. Again, you just kind of got to be thinking, like, you know, what's going to happen if they dive? Can they dive is your first question, and it's Poppy, so the answer is yes, and Rek'Sai is also very tanky, so yes, they can dive. If they dive, what's going to happen? You didn't have any mana. You were at low health, so chances are pretty good that nothing good will happen. So, I mean, is it even worth sitting there and defending the turret? Or is it worth being aggressively positioned? Can you just sit back here, you know, cast Spirit Fire and then back off? Or should you just go back for mana and let them have the turret, but then you can come back and you can defend the inhibitor, or whatever? But because of what you did, you underestimated their ability to dive you, and you ended up giving them a turret and a kill, instead of just a turret. Okay, now you're looking top lane and seeing that this is pushing, so if you can go up and get this pushing the other way by clearing this whole wave out, and then some of the next one. If you kill all these minions, and then 3 of these minions, or the cannon and 2 of the minions, that will start a slow push toward the other direction, but this will eventually slow push, or it should. but it's going to take a really long time to do so. Okay, sorry, I was paying too much attention anyway. Oh, dude, holy buckets, how did you die so fast? Okay, so you're teleporting in. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you're clearly teleporting in, hoping that your team is going to be following you. You didn't really read what was happening very well, though, because they're all over here. There's not many wards on this side of the map, unfortunately, which is definitely a problem. You really want to be having more wards on this section of the map right at this time, because Dragon is coming up, so you want to have this area warded so that this kind of situation you have a vision advantage. I think this ward just went down, so it might not have been there in time for you to teleport to it, I don't know. Okay, so you teleport in their back line. Good night. Wow. He melted you real fast. It's because he has so much crit. Crit will melt you. He'll need to get a Last Whisper eventually as you stack more armor, but you just gotta be real careful about putting yourself in a position where you're far away from your team. In a team fight situation, you can be devastating because they can't just exclusively focus you. Graves can't just chase you and blow all of his abilities on you in a team fight, because if he does, he'll be putting himself in a bad position and other people can take advantage of it. When you are alone, it's pretty easy, and you're not so big yet that you can just 1v5. Good, you secure Dragon, that's good. Yeah, see, minion AI. This was too close. It wasn't. It could have started a slow push, but it wasn't. Minions weren't stacked up enough for it. Okay, so you don't have any vision here. So you suspect that they're doing Baron. If you suspect that they're doing Baron, at this point in the game, like, if anybody is going to face check this, it needs to be Lee, because he's the only one that realistically has a chance of stealing it. So if anybody's going to go sneak and check this, it needs to be him. You showing up here, unless all 5 of you are going to be here checking Baron together, even that's risky, but at least you all or 5 are together, and you're going to walk up here and ward this, then that's the only situation that you should ever do that. Ashe has Hawkshot, so she should be able to check this. Lee has a... he doesn't have Sightstone, so he does have Sightstone, so he has Sightstone, so he can walk up and throw this, and he has the ability to steal. You walking up here alone is just unwise. Like, what are you going to do? I mean, realistically, what are you going to do? You might be able to... You don't have Flash, so... I mean, if you're going to try to steal or disrupt, you'd need to be walking around here, but you don't want to do that when it's face check. Like, I mean, yeah, you want to get a ward down, but Lee has that covered, and if he gets up here and he sees somebody, then great, he can steal it. But you really kind of want Lee to be alone in this situation because your team is not in position. If the rest of you guys were all here, then make sure you're with Lee as he goes up to check it. But since you're all spread out, you going up and warding it, best case scenario, you ward it and walk away. That's the best case scenario. You're not being effective at all. Lee has the wards. He can do it. He can do that himself, and he could potentially steal it. But because of how far ahead they are, Poppy is able to just immediately capitalize on that. and you get melted. So, if you suspect the team is doing Baron, it is almost never a good idea to check it. If it's been a few seconds, just give it to them. They will almost, unless it's really even, or they're like a desperation Baron and they're behind, and you feel like you could realistically kill them, then maybe. But you guys weren't in position, and so two of you face checked it. You and Lee. Lee got away, ironically. But even face checking Baron like that as 5 is really risky. So doing it as 2 is insane. Is that the end of the game? Yeah. Okay. So, the theme of this game has been thinking ahead. You need to do a better job of thinking ahead in all kinds of situations. Thinking ahead in trades. If I go to be aggressive on Poppy, is that going to be a favorable trade? Am I able to get to Poppy, do my damage to her, and get away from her without her doing more damage to me in the process? And versus someone like Poppy, the answer to that is almost always going to be no. Even if you could do that, as Nasus, is it really worth it? Are you going to be giving up CS to do that? Are you going to be giving up lane pressure or lane presence to do that? Are you going to be giving up mana and cooldowns and enough health that it reduces your ability to just stay in lane and farm? As Nasus, your primary objective is to stay in lane and farm. That's what you want to do. You want to freeze the lane right frickin' here, and last hit for as long as humanly possible. If you can freeze it right here, so let Poppy push it early on, and then just freeze it right here, then you are sitting pretty, and you can do this for as long as you are able to. If you are able to correctly hold a freeze by making sure that as often as possible there are 2 or 3 more blue minions than there are red minions, or purple minions, red I guess now. So if you have 6 red minions, then you need to leave 8 alive here. If you have 2 red minions, you need to leave 4 alive here. So you're last hitting, and you're trying to make sure, and if there's more than that, at least 4 alive to 2. Ideally 3, 2 to 5, or whatever. If there's a lot more than that, if there's like 8 minions here to 3, then you need to push it a little bit. You need to trim the fat of that wave so it doesn't push so hard you can't keep control of it, and it shoves into the turret and resets. So you want to freeze it here. Just do that. Don't trade with Poppy. Don't force plays on Poppy. Best case scenario, you both do equal damage to each other and have to back off, but now you're out of mana and you're lower on mana, and you probably missed a couple of CS in the process, and so you lose that trade. Poppy doesn't need the CS as much as you do. It's not as core to her playstyle. Just sit here and do it. You're thinking long term. You're not thinking about winning the lane. You don't need to win the lane. You need to win the game. And Nasus wins the game by stacking up, getting massive and killable late game. So screw the early game. You don't need to beat Poppy. Poppy's insane in mid-game especially, and her early game is really strong versus certain champions that can't really bully her effectively like Nasus. So don't play her game. Don't try to trade with her. She will win every single time. We talked in detail about some of the other things, just positioning stuff and thinking things through. What's going to happen if I chase Poppy right now? I can catch her and give her an auto or a Q on her. Then what? Same thing the other time here when she traded on you. Yeah, I can auto attack her, but then what? I can teleport to this turret. I don't remember which turret it was. It was this turret. And I can get there and before the turret goes down. But then what? On and on. And then there's some other just map awareness things. Just, when you teleported here, you didn't really have a good feel for where your team was or what direction they were currently running. They were chasing the tanks around. Maybe you thought you could just get their, kill one of their backliners. But Ahri has her ult. You're not really going to be able to kill Ahri. And you're putting yourself in a position where after Ahri runs away, you're pretty useless for a while because you're a ways away from the rest of the fight. So I realized there weren't very many other options for you to teleport to, but that was kind of iffy, I guess. And then Graves showed up and you died. So you want to be thinking a few seconds ahead. What is my opponent likely to do next in the immediate future? What is the state of the map going to be? About 30 seconds into the future, can I be setting up the map to work in my favor so that lanes are pushing their way as opposed to our way? What's going to happen? If I check Baron and they're all there, what am I going to do about it? If all you're going to do is run away, then it's not worth being there in the first place. Especially since Lee was there, he had it covered. He didn't need you there, and you ended up dying for it. So thinking ahead a little bit more. focusing on what your win conditions are rather than just trying to generically win lane. So that's kind of the takeaway, I guess. I talked about a lot of little things, but if that's the big takeaway, thinking about your win conditions and thinking ahead and making decisions based on what's going to happen 2 or 3 steps down the road, not just 1 step down the road. Thanks for the opportunity to look at the game. I hope it's helpful. And yeah, you definitely did some good things. You had some good fights, and you got big enough. You were starting to get big enough toward the end that you were able to impact stuff, but you were so behind from just how the lane went and how the mid game went that it was kind of too little too late, and ended up losing this one. So anyway, that's okay. Thanks for getting the opportunity to look at the game. I appreciate it, and I'll upload it here pretty quick. And I hope it's helpful. Best of luck.